Feeding.
Sprechen Sie Englisch? Zwei nach unten, zwei nach hinten, zwei zu mir. Mal her. Take your hands off.
There you go.
Da ist doch jemand unten.
Bewegen! Hab ich gesagt. I'll give you 100 francs to shoot a plank. He loves wood.
Please take a can of kerosene for just this. Swim to shore or take the death by water. Hair was on fire. Them thanking me, cheered him on and rewarded. Why aren't you laughing?
There's smoke where they came from.
Not sure it's working, Lasser. They're bringing their guns to bear.
Harry? Oh, I don't think so, sir.
Ready?
Thank you, Captain.
The third takes us to the Atlantic Ocean in Nazi-controlled water territory in 1942, when the Nazi Navy prepares to board a tiny fishing vessel. There are two guys on board, Gus March Phillips, played by Cavill with some rip-roaring moustaches. The other participant is Anders Lassen, Alan Ritchson from the Reacher TV series, who is extremely ripped. In late 1941, during the peak of World War II, the United Kingdom is battling to stop Nazi Germany's aspirations to take over Europe. With the supplies and aid ships constantly being sunk by German submarines, Brigadier Colin Gubbins, with the hidden support of Prime Minister Winston Churchill, prepares to launch Operation Postmaster, an undercover Black Ops sabotage mission aimed at disrupting the Nazis' U-boat resupply operation on the Spanish-controlled island Fernando Po.
Thank you, Captain.
But I'm in high school now. It's nice. Look at this.
For a second there, I thought you might have been. This was gonna murder you.
Breakfast!
I just didn't identify with my birth nose.
Just take a big deep breath.
Bailey's coming over? Yeah, in about 30 minutes.
Good morning, Bailey.
I'm not doing any more study.
Amazing.
Wait, here's your purple.
Seriously?
The kid's terrible.
Let's go.
Love you too, Mom.
You look him right in the eye and say, hey, my name's Bill. Wear your seatbelt. This day's for...
Don't eat it. I'm not gonna eat it. Are you okay, man?
Who the made that rule?
Please. You know, my mom went all out on. Yes, and he's ruining my life. Sometimes the best thing to do is. That's my name. Jeez.
As a new high school student, Benj is ready to start over and wants to date Bailey, the friend of his somewhat older sister Alyssa. Along with him, his buddies Eddie and Connor are keen to establish new identities, and their other buddy Koosh is motivated to live up to the reputation of his elder brother. Benj is involved in a false drug transaction by selling vitamins to skateboarders instead of MDMA through his designated carpool partner, senior student Ruby. That weekend, Koosh talks his buddies into going to his older brother's party. Benj is eager to go after Bailey, but Eddie and Connor are hesitant. Upon the group's arrival to the celebration, Koosh discloses that his brother is only permitting one member to go, and Benj persuades the others to grant him permission to go.
Your name is Fetus now.
Oh, Fetus for the next 4 years.
That's Katrina, or yeah. Mine too.
Okay, well, notice, so this time I'm getting in front of that. No, it's okay, don't apologize. Muldoon! Let's get after it. I'm Mr. With a J? All right, well, hit the J. Mixed it. Throw me out a little potassium iodide. I'll teach you how to make a nuclear bomb.
Benj greets Bailey and Alyssa when they get to the party, but he only has a brief conversation with them before being left on his own to engage with some boisterous older kids. Mr. Studebaker, the chemistry instructor, arrives in the interim and soon starts to become quite drunk. While Eddie is bored at his house, Connor talks him into taking his mom's obnoxious boyfriend's Tesla and using it to get to the party. Popular girl Katrina, who is quite drunk, gets into the car thinking it's her Uber when they arrive. After they receive Taco Bell, Katrina faints. Katrina has highly liquid diarrhea, which quickly spreads all over them and the back seat, and Eddie almost wrecks the car. Before choosing to take care of her and clean the car, Connor and Eddie discuss abandoning her at the fire department. Incoming, the 2024 American adolescent comedy film, marks the feature-length debut of Dave and John Chernin as writers and directors. Benji, his buddies Eddie, Connor, and Koosh, along with another friend, navigate their first few weeks of high school. On August 23, 2024, Netflix launched it.
Fuck made that rule?
Over. Little bell.
It's Kate.
Oh, you guys square.
I think there's one last mystery to solve.
You didn't cost us on behalf of the CIA. You did interfere after we... I do have one question. You're killing out there consulting, but you're laying... I don't know what the fuck any of that means, but...
He needs to be held accountable.
That was a complicated man. See you around.
Make you a drink.
Never been. So if you wouldn't mind. That sounds good, Ty. But I think your Uber is here.
You knew about us. I didn't have a choice. I'm not the same person anymore.
Believe in what we're doing here. You're no longer welcome in this division.
I'm sorry, but I
Thought you said you were allergic.
Vale asks Radek to a face-to-face meeting. He learns from Radek about his last task, which is to strike Costas. He intends to widely disseminate the agency's sinister reality. The money transfer has already ended by the time he discloses this. Then there's a bomb blast. Vale makes his getaway and heads straight to the location of Costas' speech. Vale had suspicions that Radek had arrived at the location and set Costas as his target. Vale therefore succeeds in locating Radek in person. On a platform with other journalists, he spots Radek. Without delay, he grabs a hammer, demolishes the stage, and prevents Radek from obtaining his firearm. Vale apologizes to his longtime friend for failing to keep his family safe. Vale shoots Radek after that. Vale is spared from being implicated by O'Malley, who claims that Vale was employed by the organization. It appears that the Bitcoin wallet transfer was incomplete. Radek was probably led to believe such by Vale. But because of his work, the CIA manages to locate Radek's manifesto, which lists all of his targets. When Vale sees Ty in her hotel room at the conclusion of The Bricklayer, he finds out that she collaborated with Radek on the list and worked against him. Ty walks out and gets into his car as his guys approach the outside to execute Vale. Fortunately, Kate finds her and kills her with a gunshot. O'Malley later extends a promotion opportunity to Kate. Rather, she makes the decision to leave the CIA. Her dream job would be for the government, not the agency. Vale murdered Radek in the Bricklayer's denouement before he could kill Costas, but the money was nowhere to be seen. Although Ty really held the $1 billion, Kate had a suspicion that O'Malley had taken them out of the mission. When Vale discovered the CD that Radek had previously given him, he realized what was going on. Although Ty never mentioned Radek's survival, she was undoubtedly aware of it long before he murdered Greta Becker. Ty was the one giving Radek access to the list. After Vale had left Greece, they had become something. In addition to seeing an opportunity to get paid by the agency for all the years of service and the horrible things done to individuals in the name of patriotism, Ty must have felt sorry for Radek. Ty ordered her men to murder Vale, but Kate shot Ty instead of letting her freeze in the face of danger. Vale made it through. The agency offered Kate a promotion, but she turned it down. Knowing what they had done to Radek, she was unable to. She followed her own path, risking the wrath of the agency, just like Vale did, who went back to his day job as a bricklayer.
Okay. I never even saw you, officer. I would have stopped. You're saying I fled. That's bullshit. I couldn't hear.
You got a report of a stolen bike.
Really? Get off.
It's not Chinese food.
I didn't.
Shit.
Hey, something illegal I can go?
I'll make that.
Look,
lot of cash you got. Over $30,000 put the cousin in. What's he in for?
The traffic violation will let you off the warrant. What's your address?
Pulled up stakes and bailing out my cousin. I sold my car.
All right. Money.
This can't be legal.
Well, then I'm gonna come after.
This is sort of.
Are you an ambulance? All right, you're free to go.
I got rammed off the road. All of it. I was on my way here. This feels the same as the one. This is fucking surreal. And some more.
Terry Richmond, a retired marine martial arts instructor, is riding his bicycle to Shelby Springs, a tiny hamlet, to post bail for his cousin Mike, who was taken into custody on suspicion of possessing marijuana. For a low-stakes case like this one, $10,000 bond is a little excessive, but Terry needs to post it in time to keep Mike out of jail. Mike's history as a cooperating witness in a murder case makes it reasonable to fear for his safety if he is ever sent away. After saving Mike, Terry intends to launch a part-time transport company of his own. He has a reliable friend in Percyville, a Chinese restaurant owner and Korean War veteran named Mr. Liu, who is likely his mentor. Mr. Liu has given Terry $36,000 in return for his automobile. But his plans backfire when he gets hit by a car while traveling to Shelby Springs and is wrongfully arrested by local police officers Steve Lan and Evan Marston. They take his money and won't listen to him when he tells them where it came from and what he was going to do with it. When Terry finally makes it to Shelby Springs Town Hall to try to get his money back from the corrupt police, he finds that he is powerless and that the town does not even have a public defense attorney. After hearing Terry's narrative, another court clerk, Summer McBride, resolves to assist Terry on her own. Court clerk Elliot is hesitant to assist Terry.
It's surreal.
That's my little girl. Then you have to work hard. Very good.
So,
Asking, why come here?
I want the good life.
Let's give it a try then, shall we? Addresses the lens director.
Stalking me, forcing me to do terrible sin.
You mind taking your top off so we can see your breasts?
Well, go fucking now. Is that the gun under just a short night stop?
My name is. I have been.
Where should find these amateurs? I'll find the best part.
How you doing, baby girl?
I know it's a catch-22.
It's pretty.
You want to hear the good news?
Name 5 celebrities who got there.
Elizabeth Benner is a very underrated director.
This is gonna be my head soon. Leon, just you.
Hey, you kill a raptor out of a spot in the hills if you're interested. Congrats. You're not going to the top of a hole at every dead girl in Hollywood.
Drop it! Strip.
On your knees.
Suck. Last person who tried to kill me.
A video clip with a young Maxine Miller, Charlie Rowan McCain, performing a little dance routine is shown at the beginning of the movie. Her father, Pastor Ernest Miller, Simon Prost, is filming her. She also says again what her father used to say, which would eventually become her mantra in life: "I will not accept a life I do not deserve." 1985, since escaping the Texas farm slaughter, Maxine Minks, MIA Goth, has acted in several pornographic films. She is currently attempting to make the jump to Hollywood movies. She attends an audition for Elizabeth Bender's Elizabeth Debicki horror movie, The Puritan 2. The casting directors urge Maxine to display her breasts after her impressive audition. Maxine advises Elizabeth and the others that they should cast her right away since she's going to be a star before she departs. Maxine boasts to the other actors that she earned the part as she leaves. Other activities that were going on at the time were demonstrations against The Puritan 2, which the demonstrators believed was a work of Satanism and had taken other people's lives. There is a serial murderer stalking California who goes by the name The Night Stalker. Giancarlo Esposito's character Maxine keeps in touch with Teddy Knight, her agent, as he attempts to assist her in landing parts. She tells her roommate and buddy Leon, Moses Sumney, and fellow porn star Amber James, Chloe Farnworth, about her new position as a Puritan. Maxine is invited to a party in the Hollywood Hills by Amber, but she needs to turn her other job down. Maxine works a second job at a live peep show, where she is expected by a client. Though not visible, the man is dressed in a dark suit and black gloves. Maxine walks with her friend Tabby Martin, Halsey, after work. Tabby extends an invitation to a party, but Maxine turns it down once more. A guy with a knife follows her as she separates from Tabby. After pulling her gun on him, Maxine has him undress and suck on the gun. To top it off, Maxine uses the heel of her shoe to stamp on the man's testicles, causing them to explode viscerally. T. West wrote, directed, produced, and edited the American slasher crime movie Maxine in 2024. Serving as a direct sequel to the first two films, X and Pearl, 2022 preceded it as the third part in West's X film trilogy. Maxine Minx, played by MIA Goth, returns to her X role. A24 released Maxine in the United States on July 5, 2024, following its June 24, 2024 debut at the TCL Chinese Theater in Los Angeles.
Pissed off, anyhow. How you done? That's my rifle. What business? You're just more trash with Tara Lee. What can I do for you, Elmer? Watch your six, buddy. They're armed with automatic weapons at present. No, they five.
We are going to engage.
Spot me.
You're a good shot. God damn, that's some shit. Tome lo que puedas.
I care more about that horse than I do.
Declan McBride, Dean Jagger, is a bank thief that Texas Ranger Alex Tyree, Thomas Jane, follows across the desert to find out he's an international terrorist planning to blow up a bomb in the middle of London. Following the death of his colleague, the lawman teams up with British intelligence operative Jennifer Smith, Dominique Tipper, and her supervisor Geddes, John Malkovich, in an attempt to apprehend the criminal, whether he is alive or dead. Alex Tyree, Jane, is first shown to us riding his horse and touring the range while wearing the obligatory 10-gallon hat. This comes after a written prologue that plainly suggests that all it takes is one ranger to control an angry throng, or presumably anything else. Here he is apprehending a drunken local thief, Gregory Zaragoza, in an overly cliched role as a Native American. It takes place when he learns that bank thieves are escaping his direction after murdering 3 police officers. Before Tyree can destroy their off-road vehicle, another 2 people perish in hot pursuit. This is followed by a call to deal with a group of bank thieves in an ATV that have left a path of dead law enforcement officers in their wake. 3 of them are killed by him, but Declan McBride, the commander who was formerly an IRA agent and is now a hired killer, escapes to Mexico. Alex Tyree is a very skilled ranger who can do any task quickly and precisely. Alex gets into a confrontation with a group of well-known criminals who were trying to get away after killing 2 police officers as he is following down a criminal who violated his probation. He soon receives a call from British intelligence with a task for him. They want him to travel to Mexico in order to apprehend a certain prisoner who is inaccessible to both the US and their nation. As a Texas Ranger, Alex is able to do the job informally. When Alex finds out that Declan McBride, a terrorist who pilfers money from banks to support other terrorist groups, is the prisoner, he accepts.
I care more about that horse than I do.
Nice! Team Riley!
Smooth sailing from here. Ah, look out! 28!
O'Reilly takes a breather. Let's all. Very fast.
If we
1, 2, 3. It's right there.
guys.
Turns out when you put all of those beliefs, we're tied. How are you, O'Reilly? Championship!
I invite all the best players in the area. We'll see you tomorrow.
This hockey camp? I mean, exactly. Mom gets it.
High-tech Riley protection. Take such good care of Riley. Rest of these babies can go to long-term.
Wanna come this time?
Yeah.
Have I ever steered you wrong before?
Yeah.
Riley Anderson, 13, is starting high school 2 years after moving to San Francisco. Joy, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger, her personified emotions, now rule Riley's sense of self, a newly developed part of her mind that contains memories and emotions that influence Riley's views. Riley's unpleasant memories are pushed to the back of Riley's memory by a mechanism that Joy designed with the intention of filling the sense of self with only happy recollections. Riley receives an invitation to a weekend ice hockey camp with her closest friends, Bree and Grace, with the goal of trying out for her school's Firehawks team. But the night before camp, a puberty alarm goes off, and several mind workers carelessly upgrade the emotion console, causing chaos at headquarters. Riley now overreacts to whatever inputs the emotions make on the console. Anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and ennui are 4 new feelings that arise and compete with the initial emotions over how they manifest. Joy, in particular, wants Riley to enjoy himself at camp, but anxiety is more concerned with making new friends and getting a position on the team, especially now that Riley knows Bree and Grace will be going as separate high schools.
Is it broken?
No. I think Little Caesar's tired.
I just don't want it to break again, okay?
Daddy.
We're gonna miss you a lot.
June?
Literally everything, right?
Listen, I am running. Do not open the door for strangers.
What do you mean,
No,
no?
Mom,
June,
I don't...
What's some...
Please don't come around. I know you're in. I know that it's for a very special reason. Okay, all right, I see.
If it seems like I'm hard on you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Wait, she's here. Who? Heather.
It's good. Pretty rough out there. Not that I don't.
Yeah.
The movie begins with a 2008 camcorder video. On a family vacation, little June Allen, Ava Zaria Lee, is having fun with her father James, Tim Griffin. James claims he is all right, but he is having a nosebleed as June's mother Grace, Nia Long, enters. As Grace watches and edits the video, it ends prematurely. A little montage reveals that James reportedly passed away from a brain tumor, and many people express their condolences to June and Grace. They relocate to Van Nuys from Texas. Today, June, now portrayed by Storm Reed, and Grace have a rather tumultuous relationship. She views her mother as persistently bothersome and critical of her. Additionally, Grace has been seeing Kevin Lin, Ken Leung, and the two of them are about to travel to Colombia. Since he will be updating her on their vacation, Kevin tries to chat to June. Grace texts June "I love you," but she merely responds with a thumbs up. She is still grieving about James. June arranges to party with her best friend Vina, Megan Suri, during her time alone after Grace and Kevin leave. Although June primarily spends her spare time partying, Kevin occasionally sends her photos of herself and Grace. Heather, Grace's friend and lawyer, is portrayed by Amy Landecker.
Get back inside.
Dr. Timmis,
Hello, Dr. Tim.
are you still staying out there tonight?
Maybe we can invite my sister for dinner tomorrow? Well, you're my hero.
I mean, let's stretch our legs, shall we?
Go see your dinner. Please leave him up.
While remodeling the couple's recently bought rural property, Danny Odello Timmis, the wife of Dr. Ted Timmis, is brutally killed one night while alone. That night, Danny received a visit from Olin Bull, one of Ted's previous patients, alerting her to the fact that a stranger had broken into the house. After being judged guilty of the crime, Olin is discovered brutally killed in his mental hospital room. Irish horror movie Oddity, which Damien McCarthy wrote and directed, was released in 2024. It centers on a blind psychic and curio store owner who is still in mourning for her twin sister, who died a year ago. She uses a wooden mannequin from her collection to help her in her investigation into her sister's murder.
What'd you just call me? I said, bitch, you got stains on my sweater.
Nah, dude, that boy thought I was hella Mexican.
Pooping my pants again.
No, she got cancer.
I'm sorry. She's a dumb bitch.
My real name is Jimmy, but everyone just calls me Sue.
Like, call me in like a minute.
Dude, why? And then he uploads his video down. He's like, okay, but then the deep pooped up, hissing in the river.
13-year-old Chris Wang, his mother Chungxing, her strict mother-in-law Nai Nai, and his sister Vivian reside in Fremont, California during the summer of 2008. From Taiwan, Chris's father provides for the family. Chris and Vivian, who is about to enroll at UC San Diego, are often arguing. He collaborates with his closest pals Soup and Farhad on absurd YouTube videos. After Chris meets Maddie, his infatuation, they start messaging each other on Facebook and AIM. On their first meeting, she compliments Chris on his appearance, for an Asian, and starts a flirtatious conversation that stops when he confesses to being anxious. Feeling ashamed, he bans her from AIM. When Chris describes how he and his buddies played with a dead squirrel during a group hangout with Farhad, he makes a number of awkward social mistakes that sour their bond. Nai Nai and Chungxing are at odds over Nai Nai's criticism of Chungxing's parenting style and her husband's absence. Chris and Chungxing eat supper with Max, her kid who excels academically, and one of her colleagues. Chris's actions and self-doubt start to cause tension in his relationships. 3 elder skateboarders bring Chris on as a filmer. They take him to a party where he experiments with pot and booze. Vivian fills in for him when he becomes ill. The siblings get back together before Vivian departs for college. While at Chris's house, the skateboarders discover that his video is useless. In front of them, Chris chastises Chungxing, and the gang disapproves and leaves.
For 10 years. You have got to go back to New York.
Hey guys!
Someone stick me in a beauty closet again. It looks like a
Jenna Jones.
Yes, I am. Get some coffee? That would be awesome.
Jenna Jones. 45? How was it? Did you do any?
Back and ready to jump right into things.
Therapy. That's wanted. And you talked to my boyfriend. All those years of me not getting it.
It's a shame you're a subscription model. I need a job.
We have 90 days to make meaning. And you'll have to make an office out of the zoo.
Who am I supposed to be with this?
Now working at Darzine, though?
Self is part of the winning formula, and she did.
Mr. Top Hat, just take it.
Oh, it is a sexy shoulder, though. In all fairness.
Like, honestly, that was the biggest L I've... no pictures now. Where'd she go?
Finally, Jenna Jones' mother pushes her out a year after the 40-year-old Jenna Jones was rejected by Brian, whose 10-year public romance defined her. She changes careers and enters the field of beauty journalism after returning to New York City. Jenna is offered a 3-month trial position as creative director at Darzine, but she must approach her rival Darcy for the position. She goes out with 2 close friends that evening and at random gives a man who is 15 years younger a kiss. The same younger man, Eric, is introduced to a hangover Jenna the next day at work. He's the new cameraman for the firm, and Darcy's son. Eric and Jenna will collaborate on the magazine's rebirth as a subscription service. The age difference between the love interests in The Perfect Find is the plot surprise. 40-year-old Jenna, played by Gabrielle Union, is a determined professional who develops feelings for Eric, played by Keith Powers, the boss's 20-something son. The chemistry between Powers and Union is electrifying enough to sell it, and everyone is an adult who has given their approval.
Not here. Up. Not here. Up.
คือคนที่หิวโหยกว่าเสมอ
รายการมันหน้า2แต่ถึงนี่ขนาดไปแต่เช้าแล้ว
ทำด้วยนะ
อะไรอีกอะมึง ใจเย็น กูเนี่ย มึงไม่อย่างคนในอู่จบมานะมึง กูคิดว่าแบบ
In a bustling kitchen at the beginning of the film, the sous chef gives his master chef's instructions to organize everything within the allotted time. Presumably the chief chef, we spot a dark person about to enter the kitchen. There are metaphors about ants crawling, which stand in for the laborious job of the chef. The chief chef arrives, and we watch him straighten the slightly off-center arrangement. All of this culminates with the chef preparing a lobster meal to be delivered to a group of opulent, hungry people who have planned an event to celebrate the chef's abilities. The chef has a very specific method of letting them consume the food, which appears to be no less than an artwork. When the host chows down on his hand like a ravenous animal, he urges them to use it instead of silverware, which amuses him. After that, we go to a crowded neighborhood eatery where a young woman is busily preparing food for her patrons. After just one bite, an enigmatic man approaches the woman and suggests that her skills are too great for this little restaurant. After giving her a business card with the word hunger scribbled on it, he departs. The young woman identified as Oye is then seen hanging around with her sad companions, all of whom have various employment. The distinction between those who are born with a silver spoon in their mouths and those who toil away to manage menial money is made clear early on in the film. Despite her distaste, Oye is forced to take over her father's restaurant due of her younger siblings. Then, we find out that the opening monologue introduced us to Chef Paul's kitchen, Hunger, which has given the woman a job opportunity that she is thinking about accepting. The recruiter that came in earlier is seen sitting outside the cafe, and the next day we find her preoccupied at work.
One show on TV was... The show was cancelled. Hollywood... Where is he now?
Balthazar Black.
They're closing fast.
On the ground!
He's getting in the way!
What do you do?
We can make it! Get ready for what?
How you doing? Villain to world's worst agent?
Alpha team, the diamond is secure!
Through! It's not over!
Yeah? Happy birthday!
Bad boy!
Leave! Brad got away and get the big breakfast.
Your new leader is...
Blah, 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 we understand. Yeah, what we do here.
Okay,
You're gonna have to fire me, sister.
You really have to do that. I know how much... Huh? I love the combination. They
New jobs, real soon.
himself in carbonite. What? Let's hear another word about it.
Ciao, Beru.
He was concerned that during...
What you doing down here?
I don't really focus anymore.
This address?
Oh, Kyle! Stop! No, you got to be...
The film opens with a reporter discussing former child star Balthazar Bratt, Trey Parker. He was the lead in the successful TV series Evil Bratt, in which he played a young inventor and criminal genius. Unfortunately for Bratt, reaching puberty caused the program to be terminated, and as his reputation faded, he lost his mind, believing himself to be a wicked monster. The reporter wonders where Bratt will strike next. Bratt and his robot henchman, Clyde, Andy Nyman, are staking out a ship transporting the world's biggest diamond. Bratt starts his robbery song as he prepares to grab the diamond. As he approaches the ship, he places self-inflating bubblegum traps on its guard. Gru, Steve Carell and Lucy, Kristen Wiig, as well as minions Jerry and Tim, Pierre Coffin, are pursuing him. Bratt's gum allows the ship to float in the air, allowing him to grab the diamond. Lucy transports Gru from the ocean to the ship. Gru and Bratt engage in a dancing battle until Gru obtains the diamond from him. Bratt then pulls out his keyboard, which produces a tremendous shockwave that forces Gru's garments to fly off, leaving him dangling off the side of the ship by the gum, allowing Bratt to escape. He is spotted by a group of workers at an office who are celebrating his birthday. Gru and Lucy are on their way to the Anti-Villain League headquarters. Director Silas Ramsbottom, Steve Coogan is retiring, and Valerie Da Vinci, Jenny Slate will take his position. Her first move is to dismiss Gru for allowing Bratt to escape after reclaiming the gem. Lucy supports Gru, saying that if he is dismissed, they must also terminate her. Gru and Lucy are thrown from the AVL airship. When Gru and Lucy come home, they discover that the girls Margot, Miranda Cosgrove, Edith, Dana Geyer, and Agnes, Nev Sharrell have set up a backyard honeymoon because Gru and Lucy never had the opportunity to go on one. The two then unwillingly explain to the girls that they were both fired, but they are not deterred and pledge to get back on their feet shortly. Gru rushes down to his lab and discovers the minions assembled there. Now that they know he is no longer with the AVL, the minions want to return to villainy. Gru informs them that they will not do so, particularly since Dr. Nefario has frozen himself in carbonite, Han Solo style. Mel, one of the minions, then shows a slideshow comparing and contrasting how much better their and Gru's life were as criminals versus now that Gru is a family guy. The minions leave and join Mel to engage in some wicked shenanigans, leaving just Jerry and Tim behind because they were not there for the uprising. A famous diamond expert travels to Paris to inquire about the status of the pink diamond that Bratt attempted to take. Then the expert takes off his mask to expose his true identity, that of Bratt. He subdues the guards and the curator of the museum before stealing the diamond. Gru discovers Bratt taking the diamond in the newspaper item he reads in the morning. Subsequently, Gru discovers that Agnes is parting with her toys, encompassing her cherished unicorn doll. She informs Gru that since her parents are unemployed, she is attempting to assist.
Who wants to start?
It's not funny.
Big thoughts, coarse language. I got over it. I'm pretty sure. Have any thoughts on the reading?
The most recent American satirical comedy drama film, American Fiction, which is based on Percival Everett's 2001 novel, Erasure, takes aim at this exact practice as well as white people's particular fixation with stories that portray black people as little more than stereotypes. American Fiction is a delightfully fantastic film. Even though it isn't always clever, it can be extremely blunt and direct at times. As was already established, the movie American Fiction is a suspenseful mix of humor and drama. With an all-star ensemble that includes Jeffrey Wright, Erica Alexander, Tracy Ellis Ross, Sterling K. Brown, John Ortiz, Anissa Rae, Cord Jefferson directs his debut feature picture. Thelonious Monk Ellison, a college lecturer played by Jeffrey Wright, starts a daring class debate by writing the word "near" on the whiteboard in the first scene of the narrative. Students respond to this conduct in different ways, but one is so disturbed by it that she leaves the classroom and reports Monk to the administration. The audience responded to the film's humorous opening sequence with a mixture of laughter and cringe-worthy reactions due to the usage of the very contentious and derogatory word, near. This instantaneous, powerful response established the tone for the movie's thematic investigation and gave audiences a preview of what to anticipate from the remainder of the production. The narrative revolves around Jeffrey Wright's portrayal of Thelonious Monk Ellison, a middle-aged black writer who is fed up with the way the business disregards his work. Monk aims to provide an alternative narrative about black life, one that isn't limited to hardship, struggle, and fatherlessness. He is frustrated by the mainstream success of other black authors, whose stories frequently center around stereotypical themes of black trauma like drug dealing, incarceration, absent fathers, and street violence. Monk takes a risk when he chooses to compose a fictitious narrative under the pen name Stag R. Lee and poses as an escaped prisoner. His book, My Pavology, which he renamed from My Pathology, acquires rapid attention, notoriety, and profitable publishing offers, exposing a harsh reality. The predominantly white publishing industry appears more interested in putting out corny accounts of black trauma than in examining the range of black experiences. In addition to navigating his job as a black writer, Monk deals with issues in his love and familial lives. Through conversations with individuals closest to him, the film challenges his views and ideals as it explores his path of personal and professional growth. This story asks the audience to consider the intricacies of the black experience as well as more general concerns about racial stereotyping in storytelling. Thelonious Monk Ellison is portrayed by Jeffrey Wright as reticent and somewhat cut off from the outside world. Monk lives alone and apart from his family in various ways. His siblings, Clifford Ellison, Sterling K. Brown and Lisa Ellison, Tarchie Ellis Ross, also doctors, interact with Monk in different ways. Unlike his tense connection with Clifford, he is more intimate with Lisa and spends a lot of time with her. The film explores the issue of LGBTQ+ persons facing discrimination within the black community, which Clifford exemplifies via his gay identity. The fact that Monk resembles their father, with whom Clifford had a tense connection, contributes to their tense relationship. Their mother Agnes Ellison, played by Leslie Uggams, demonstrates the lack of acceptance Clifford experiences in his family by expressing difficulties in comprehending Clifford's sexuality and developing dementia. This further highlights the tension in the relationship. In the meanwhile, Monk suffers with his work's lack of global recognition even though he has produced multiple volumes. His opinions, which he begins by subtly disparaging another black writer, Sinatra Golden, played by Issa Rae, exacerbate this resentment. Monk is displeased that Sinatra's work, which he believes perpetuates stereotypes about black suffering, is receiving a lot of attention. Lorraine looks after Monk's mother and keeps the house clean. In addition to carrying up her responsibilities, Lorraine strikes up a love relationship with a neighborhood security officer while Monk and his siblings are abroad. The way Lorraine's character is portrayed in this story is unique. In contrast to the way housekeepers are typically shown in movies, where they are frequently neglected or treated as less than, Jefferson treats Lorraine like a valued member of the family, a respect that is far more common among Hispanic people. Lorraine's position is elevated in American fiction from that of an employee to that of a family member. She invites Monk to lead her down the aisle and propose to her during her wedding because she has such a close bond with the family. This gesture offers a polite and refreshing depiction of the job of a housekeeper in a household, demonstrating the mutual respect and close bond between Lorraine and Monk's family. Avoiding the common misconceptions, American fiction examines the complexity of black culture and experience. Scenes in the movie recognize the historical tragedy in black history, but filmmaker Jefferson takes a new angle on these stories. He presents an alternate perspective on black life by drawing on the fictional works of Stagger Lee and Sinatra Golden, Monk's alter persona, rather than concentrating on these cliched subjects. The movie looks at how the publishing business promotes tales about black people that are biased and based on stereotypes. It draws attention to the difficulties black writers encounter in defying these expectations as well as the more general problem that the public is frequently only exposed to rehashed accounts of black pain. Rather from focusing on derogatory stereotypes, Monk's early work, which is eclipsed by the Pathology, sought to offer positive, enlightening viewpoints of the black experience in order to strengthen the community. The movie highlights the prejudice and preoccupation with cliched stories in the publishing industry. Publishers who meet with Monk are enthralled with his made-up image of an ex-convict and fetishize his use of colloquialisms and street jargon. This preoccupation highlights a larger problem, the unwillingness to accept and print tales that offer diverse, good portrayals of black life. American fiction calls for a more inclusive and expansive definition of what it means to be black, criticizing the propensity to see black culture through a limited, stereotype-filled perspective. Thelonious Monk Ellison is a very intellectual African-American writer and professor living in Los Angeles who belongs to the top class. Although academics applaud his works, they don't sell well, and publishers have rejected his most recent manuscript because it isn't black enough. Due to his outspokenness towards students over racial matters, his university puts him on temporary leave and advises him to attend a literary course and visit his family in Boston. His panel receives little interest at the conference, but Sintara Golden, whose best-selling book We's Lives in D.A. Ghetto plays to black stereotypes, has a full house for her interview. Monk has close ties with his sister Lisa, a doctor, and mother Agnes, who is exhibiting symptoms of Alzheimer's illness, while in Boston. Lisa had a heart attack and passes away in the hospital after having drinks with Monk. Cliff, a plastic surgeon who is separated from Monk, attends Lisa's funeral. After being found cheating on him with a man, Cliff's wife filed for divorce. As a result, he now uses drugs often and has casual affairs. Monk moves in across the street from Coraline, a lawyer, and they begin dating. Monk, disgruntled by Santara's success and the expenses associated with caring for his mother, produces a satirical novel titled My Pavology, which parodies the literary tropes commonly associated with black writers, such as gang violence, narcotics, melodramatic narratives, and deadbeat dads. He submits it to publishers out of disdain, and when he receives a surprise advance of $750,000, he is led to assume the identity of a convicted felon named Stag Ali by his agent Arthur. Wiley, the producer, offers Monk a movie deal as Stag. In an attempt to sabotage the deal, the Monk demands that the title be changed to FC UK in response to the disparaging comments made by publishing executives. Surprisingly, the CEOs concur. Reluctantly, Monk accepts an invitation to assist in judging the New England Book Association's literary award as part of a diversity push. Santara is a fellow judge, and Monk is taken aback to discover that she has many of the same opinions. Agnes relocates to an assisted living facility, but she has trouble adjusting. Cliff comes back to Boston for a little while, but then departs after Agnes says something homophobic. FC UK hits the bestseller list. The FBI approaches the publisher, thinking that Stag is a fugitive, as he said in interviews, while Coraline, Cliff, and the general public continue to be oblivious that Stag is Monk. On the day of Lorraine's wedding, the family housekeeper, Monk, discovers Cliff residing at Agnes's beach home among two other men. Although Cliff has been partying and doing drugs, he has never left Boston, and Lorraine is glad to have him at the wedding. Cliff and Monk talk about the aftermath of their father's suicide at the reception, and Cliff advises Monk to let others love all of him. By submitting FC UK for the literary award, Monk's publisher forces him to appraise his own book. FC UK is praised by the panel's white liberal limousine judges, but Santara deems it pandering. Monk concurs, but goes on to claim that Santara's work is trauma PRN and untrue to her middle-class African-American upbringing. In addition to giving the market what it wants, Santara claims that she thoroughly studied her book by speaking with marginalized people and that it is not her fault if white readers develop preconceptions as a result of her writing. They fight and split up after Monk discovers that Coraline liked reading FC UK, which infuriates him even more. FC UK is declared the winner during the award ceremony. Once on stage, the Monk announces that he must make a confession. The narrative is revealed to be Monk's script, based on his experiences, which he wrote for Wiley's production business as a substitute for the FC UK movie. The screen goes to black at this point. Monk is still apart from Coraline and has not disclosed his identity to the general public. Wiley requests that Monk rewrite the conclusion even if he likes the screenplay. The Monk suggests one in which he leaves the ceremony in order to make amends with his former girlfriend. Wiley finds this objectionable since it borders on romantic comedy. Monk then offers a scenario in which he is shot dead by police at the ceremony because they think he is a wanted criminal carrying a gun. To Monk's dismay, Wiley, who is simultaneously shooting Plantation Annihilation, a blaxploitation movie, finds it hilarious, and production on the movie begins. After acknowledging each other, Monk drives out with Cliff and one of Wiley's actors, who is portraying a slave.
I don't want to, but Rubens, this place is shit. Shit as pants.
That was great. Let's... I didn't appreciate the comment about Oscar. Hey, we're going to a show. Well, here's another time. Hey, well then, yeah, we'll get pizza on the way back. Let Katie know if you need help. Yeah. Bad leg first. Bad leg. Oh yeah, I tricked you for sure. This is Frodo. Hello? We have to head back now.
We're already in the city.
And
You're not my friend. You're a nurse.
written and directed by Michael Sarnowski, A Quiet Place, Day One is an American post-apocalyptic horror film from 2024 that is based on a scenario he co-wrote with John Krasinski. Serving as both a prequel and a spin-off, it is the third movie in the A Quiet Place movie series. Samira, Sam, is a depressed cancer patient who is close to death. She and her cat, Frodo, reside in a hospice outside of New York City. Sam is reluctant to go on a group excursion to a Manhattan marionette performance, but Ruben, a nurse, persuades him. The gang sees something that like meteors falling from the sky while they are in the city. A short while later, the assembled throng and onlookers are attacked by hostile alien beings. Sam gets knocked out in the pandemonium that follows. Military helicopters broadcast warnings to villagers, telling them to be quiet and hide until help arrives. Then Sam sees the bridges that lead out of Manhattan being bombed and destroyed by fighter aircraft, preventing the animals from leaving the island. In this installment of A Quiet Place, Lupita Nyong'o plays a dying patient in the midst of an alien invasion of New York City by blind, auditory-impaired beings. As of July 25, 2024, A Quiet Place, Day One has grossed $131.2 million in the United States and Canada, and $113.8 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $245 million.
We're not late, okay? Pull over at that store right there. 5 seconds. That one right there, yeah. Yeah, that right. Open the register. It's coming in here and we both are fucked. Hot dog, Marcus. You not come take my weapon then, motherfucker. Call 911.
Strict. They
His therapist after he got shot.
Been watching what you're doing. You got my vote.
I thought you were a terminal bachelor.
I'm going. Everything you done been through, man. Okay. I love you, Mike.
No doubt.
My granddad loved you guys.
Excuse me.
You're kind.
Hey, buddy. Step back from the edge a little bit, please.
Just freedom.
Hey, I got him. He
life. Cha-cha. Couldn't lose me if you tried. Things are going to get bad. And you.
After beginning 2004, ending January.
All right.
Honey.
They're not even gonna know this happened. But he was too late. Their own life.
They call it a widowmaker for a reason.
Hey, man, that's my phone. Oh, I'm talking about our souls.
What you talking about?
That's that shit right there. I'm more like a mother's soul.
Wait. Put some ice in your drawer.
Let me get some electrolytes.
Okay, baby.
Amazing chickpeas. And get a job.
I'm a U.S. Marine, so.
Teresa!
This the doc.
No, I need animals.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Mike, wait up. Ding dongs. And that's my final offer. It's take whoever I love. Captain is down.
A buddy police action comedy from 2024, Bad Boys, Ride or Die stars Martin Lawrence and Will Smith as cops. It was written by Chris Bremner and Will Beal and directed by Adil and Bilal. It is the fourth buddy cop movie in the Bad Boys series and the follow-up to Bad Boys for Life, 2020. Joe Pantoliano, Vanessa Hudgens, John Sally, DJ Khaled, Jacob Scipio, Paula Nunez, and Alexander Ludwig returned to their prior roles. In place of Teresa Randall, who portrayed the role in the previous 3 movies, Tasha Smith has joined the cast as Teresa Burnett. The narrative centers on Miami cops Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett as they work to clear the late Captain Conrad Howard's name after he is wrongfully charged with conspiracy. When the movie begins, detectives Will Smith's character, Mike Lowry, and Martin Lawrence's character, Marcus Burnett, are racing through the streets of Miami to get to an event. When Marcus expresses his nausea, Mike gives him permission to quickly get a ginger ale. Marcus takes a hot dog, Skittles, and the ginger ale. A shooter then breaks in to attempt to rob the establishment. But before Marcus can move the attacker's arm, Mike arrives and reprimands him for grabbing snacks. Mike then shoots the gunman in the leg. After that, the two travel to Mike's wedding, where he is being married to Christine, his physical therapist, Melanie Liebert. They are joined by Marcus's wife Teresa, Tasha Smith, daughter Megan, Bianca Bethune, son-in-law Reggie, Dennis Green, as well as Captain Rita Cicada, Paula Nunez, her boyfriend, Adam Lockwood, Joanne Grufford, the district attorney and prospective mayoral candidate, and AMO agents Kelly, Vanessa Hudgens and Dawn, Alexander Ludwig. Additionally, the late Captain Howard's, Joe Pantoliano daughter, U.S. Marshal Judy, Rhea Seahorn and her daughter Callie, Quinn Hemphill. Marcus passes out in the middle of the celebration after having an almost deadly heart attack. Marcus finds himself on a beach where Howard is standing under a tree as his friends and family cry out for assistance. It's not his time, he informs Marcus as he approaches him. After a few weeks, Marcus awakens in the hospital with an exaggerated feeling of certainty over his impending death and a renewed appreciation for life. When he gets home, Mike, Christine, and the rest of his family are jubilant at his return. However, Marcus is irritated to see that Teresa has eliminated all of his snacks in an attempt to start him on a nutritious diet. In another part of Miami, a cartel banker meets with Eric Dane, a former D agent, and instructs him to transfer money to an account that is registered in Captain Howard's name. Following the completion of the procedure, McGrath orders one of his henchmen to murder the banker's bodyguard. The banker's girlfriend then holds the pistol and shoots both the banker and herself. Before long, word spreads that Howard is being set up for a post-mortem coup due to his connections to cartels. Mike and Marcus go to the station to face the administrators who think Howard is a criminal.
Pride comes before the fall. To be there for me, she really did. I just... What? Hello?
Oh, the valet. Wow.
Yo, bro, I know you from somewhere.
I know things haven't been easy for you. He sent you a message, right?
I wish I wasn't right now.
Come here, you.
Gail, that was my fault.
Everybody knows that. The best stuntman I've ever worked with.
I'm not getting on a plane, Gail.
Burning Kawasaki's through panes of glass.
Goodbye, Gail.
Wait. Jody.
Wait, does that make sense? Scanning doubles now. You get a chance to turn me into Tom Cruise, would you? Does the director know I'm here? She asked him. You know, that coffee if you get a chance.
Feel free to call me boss.
Okay, boss.
A cannon roll? It's time for you to stop. Kick quote Rocky on me like that.
Being a stuntman costs Colt his back, but he feels that it's worth it another shot since he has a thing for camera operator Jody Marino, Emily Blunt, who is the movie director. Colt performed stunts for well-known Hollywood actor Tom Ryder, Aaron Taylor Johnson in his last acting endeavor. Colt shot a scene in which he suffered a significant fall while wearing a harness, but something went wrong and he fell to the ground, badly hurting his back. He opted to leave both Jody and the company. Colt, a valet driver 18 months later, hasn't talked to Jody since the incident. After what transpired, he is seen by a former co-worker who calls him the fall guy. Colt drives his car back violently and does donuts in front of the man. Later, Hannah Waddingham's character Gail Mayer, a producer who regularly collaborates with Ryder, gets in touch with Colt. Colt declines her offer to work as Ryder's stunt double on the upcoming science fiction blockbuster, Metal Storm, until Gail tells him that Jody is directing the picture. Stunt coordinator Dan Tucker, Winston Duke, who Colt meets up with when he gets to the set, tells him that his first big stunt back is a cannon roll. Colt is shocked to hear this since he thinks he's going to mess it up in front of Jody.
Stop. Kick quote Rocky on me like that.
Excuse me? Got the balls one.
That was it.
I'm gonna thank you. Have you ever done this before?
fucking money. Yeah, fuck you. Fucking money. You know who the fuck he is?
Where you going?
Sure you thought this all the way through? And where you going? Yeah, good.
Doug Liman is the director of the 2024 American action movie Roadhouse, which is based on a script written by Chuck Mondry and Anthony Bagarotti. It's a remake of the same-named movie from 1989. Jake Gyllenhaal, Daniela Melchior, and Conor McGregor, making his feature film debut, are among the film's stars. When former UFC fighter Dalton accepts a job as a bouncer at a roadhouse in the Florida Keys, he soon learns that this paradise is not what it appears. In Glass Key, Florida, Frankie owns and operates a roadhouse known as the Roadhouse. She's been working with the wrong clientele lately. Every night, a bunch of goons enter, trash the building, and go. A large number of her bouncers have fled, and the police are unable to assist. When Frankie goes to an underground combat match, he looks for boxer Carter Ford, but instead he encounters Elwood Dalton, who even Carter Ford is scared to spar with. When Frankie caught sight of Dalton during a brawl, she understood the type of reputation the man had. Because Dalton was a well-known MMA fighter and one of the most infamous in the industry, the other fighter gave up before they ever entered the ring. When Frankie realized Dalton had discovered a means of making easy money, he very shrewdly used his reputation to his advantage and made sure he didn't have to put in much work. Frankie approached Dalton and offered him a substantial sum of money if he came to her roadhouse and protected her from the daily thugs who created a lot of trouble. Dalton knew in his heart that he needed that money, even if he had no interest in accepting her offer. He understood that soon he would need to pursue another line of employment in order to support himself because such battles didn't pay him enough to live comfortably. Sitting in his car after it was struck by a train, Dalton had a sort of enlightenment. After escaping the collision, Dalton made the decision to visit the Roadhouse in Glass Key, Florida. When Frankie spotted him at her club, she was overjoyed. Dalton gave Dell a lesson that very first day. Dell thought he was unstoppable and that destroying the Roadhouse's property and scaring the employees was his destiny. Dell attacked Dalton in a haughty manner, thinking he would easily defeat him because he had no idea who he was up against. He was beaten like a punching bag by Dalton, who then tossed him out of the club. Dalton accepts Frankie's employment offer. Dalton first says no. Dalton's experience as an MMA fighter is hurting him. One specific fight haunts him. Dalton eventually agrees to the offer and goes to Glass Key. There, Dalton becomes friends with Charlie and her father Stephen, who own a neighboring bookstore, before making his way to the Roadhouse. On his first day at the Roadhouse, Dalton makes an impression by not only beating up the bunch that is terrorizing the area but also by bringing them all to the hospital.
What? Let's call this a draw.
It's a tie, Dale.
Fuck. God, I don't think I can ride like this. Fuck. I'm gonna sue you. Oh, hey. Oh, ew.
That one. I think. Thanks for the right man.
He first meets Ellie at the hospital, and they eventually become close.
That's not something you'd care about.
Ellie told Dalton exactly how she felt since she was an honest person, and she thought his demeanor was fascinating. While Dalton stays on Glass Key, he makes Frankie's boat, the boat, his home. Dalton, though, was probably not a proud guy of who he was. He was aware that he would never be able to erase his troubled background. He informed Ellie that he was not the sort of man she would want to live a lifetime with since he was aware of his responsibility for his friend's death. Ellie's father worked for Ben as the local sheriff. Ellie would have shot Dalton or set him up for a crime, according to the sheriff, who placed him under arrest.
There's this cute hotel in town. I mean,
What?
I shit you not, it killed Chauncey.
Worry about it.
Dalton had decided he would not be staying at Glass Key. Dalton felt a bit duped by Frankie, who had not informed him all about the ongoing problem. He confided in Frankie that he was afraid of coming to a place where he would act in a way similar to his previous actions. Ben Brandt is the accountable group to which Dalton and the Roadhouse belong. His family is responsible for half of Glass Key's construction. Ben Brandt was informed that the Roadhouse's new bouncer had physically assaulted his guys. Ben was enraged because, more than likely, he had never experienced such contempt from anybody. Ben's father had a reputation for being a criminal, and as such, the entire community was afraid of him. With his contacts in the proper places, he ensured that everyone knew that he was still capable of doing anything with him, even while he was incarcerated. Before his father announced him to be an incumbent, Ben Brandt intended to find a solution to the lingering problem. Meanwhile, in an attempt to get revenge on Dalton, Dell made the worst mistake of his life by going to see him again. Dell decided to murder Dalton because he was unable to accept that he had been publicly humiliated in his own community. Dalton, though, had other ideas. In addition to giving the man another beating, he also tossed him into the water and gave him to the crocodile. After Ben Brandt met Dalton, we learned that the man intended to build a resort nearby, and the only thing standing in his way was Frankie's club. Ben intended to completely renovate the space, but Frankie was simply too obstinate to give up so quickly. He sent his men to the roadhouse to ensure she could not do her business in peace for that reason. Ben soon came to the conclusion that Dalton was not someone who would scare him after meeting him. Ben's father needed to know about the problem before he could take any action, so he made the decision to take action. Frankie isn't selling the roadhouse, even though Ben Brandt plans to purchase it as well. Ben can't develop his idea of a resort for the affluent without the glass house. Frankie first conceals everything from Dalton. She is aware of Ben's financial situation, though. She understands that he will be shut down since he is taking loans from the wrong people and failing to repay them. Ben keeps running into problems because of Dalton. They take note of Dalton's friendship with Charlie and Ellie. While working at Glass Key, Dalton establishes a good connection with every employee at the roadhouse, falls in love with Ellie, and meets her father, a police officer employed by Ben. Ben's father, who is in prison, loses trust in his son. Hence, he calls a ruthless and psychotic assassin named Knox and instructs him to go check on his son. Before Knox can go and knock Dalton out, Ben attempts to talk sweetly with Dalton, who is reminded of his last MMA fight by Ben. Dalton was plagued by the event in which he murdered a man in a professional mixed martial arts match. Dalton didn't know what went wrong within the man during the match that led to his inflicting such devastating injuries, even if he was his buddy. Despite the fact that Dalton had already vanquished him, he continued to pound him until he passed out. Just as Dalton was ready to walk away, something happened that made him reconsider and made him feel compelled to correct Ben and the others.
Build this place.
I'm gonna just shoot you.
Can I ask you a question?
I'm just gonna go right back. Fuck you!
Well, that asshole arm with you anywhere. Drugs, probably.
It's.
Can you
Your
zoom? That's right there's the back.
house. It's just not deep enough. Both to run. This is kind of sounding more like.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Who's your boss?
Stop! You did see that I
Hold that gun.
Fucking motherfucker!
You don't have a gun too, do you? But the good news is there's a hospital.
Huge problem, and it's something I'm gonna work with. What do you mean? Territorial. Who knows why these assholes?
They took my gun.
I'm not amused. Put that fucking down. You're here laughing as everything I've been trying to...
Yes. Knox, it's Gerald Brent.
Where he hides the spare key. Come on.
Do they teach that?
Families, they build most of Glass Key. Asking simple questions.
You're a nice person.
Okay, our
target is Maxime. Look who it is. If it isn't... To see you, Valentina. You mean that...
The golden alumni! Maxime Lamar!
What? Something very big as the strength and the speed, power of the cockroach! Under arrest! Move in! Ow! Who's the loser now? This is not a...
Lucky 6.
Favorite husband?
Wait a minute. Here he is. A coochie coochie.
He loves you. He just doesn't.
It's from the Bahamas. Thanks, guys. Bonjour, Gru. I know where you live. So you...
Leave our home?
I can't believe this. Yes, yes.
Be good, Lucky.
Sorry, no one can know of your whereabouts.
Quiet!
No time foolery.
Tom?
Look at that fountain!
Your new home. Fully automated lockdown. You are a solar panel sales girls.
My name's Blanche, isn't it?
I didn't want to frighten the girls.
What is that supposed to mean? Nice meatloaf.
I'll be in contact when this is all over.
Actually be a normal family for once.
Are you in it, girl? It's back, baby! Make Gru suffer for arresting me, Cockroach Man! Huh? But now, the game begins!
Gru Jr., who is determined to harass his father, is welcomed into the family by Gru, Lucy, Margot, Edith, and Agnes. The family is forced to flee when Gru encounters Maxime Lamal and his girlfriend Valentina as a new adversary. Gru shows up to a reunion at Lychee Parbonne, his former school, at the start of the film. While there, he makes amends with Maxime Lamal, his former adversary who has been planning retaliation against Gru since he was a toddler after Gru stole his act. In an attempt to take over the entire globe, Maxime claims he has become more powerful by using cockroach parts, but Gru and the other AVL members capture him. Regretfully, Maxime manages to get out of jail with the aid of his lover Valentina, revealing his plan to create hybrids between humans and cockroaches. Maxime intends to test it out on Gru Jr., Gru's biological son. Gru and his family receive a visit from Silas Ramsbottom, the former AVL commander. Silas informs them about Maxime's escape and the necessity of moving Gru and the family under a new alias to a home in a different town called Mayflower. While the AVL adopts most of the minions, Dave, Mel, Gus, Tim, and Jerry are the 5 selected to become the Mega Minions, which have additional abilities. Sadly, as soon as they start to harm the city, the idea is promptly abandoned. In 2024, Universal Pictures and Illumination and Universal released the animated comedy film Despicable Me 4. The Despicable Me franchise has 6 installments total. This one is the follow-up to Despicable Me 3, 2017 and the 4th major installment. Mike White and Ken Dorio wrote the screenplay, Chris Reno directed it, Patrick Delage co-directed it, in his first feature picture as a director, and Chris Meledandri and Brett Hoffman produced it. Starring in it are the voices of Sofia Vergara, Steve Colbert, Reno, Madison Polan, Dana Geyer, Chloe Fineman, Will Ferrell, Steve Carell, Kristen Wiig, Pierre Coffin, Joey King, Miranda Cosgrove, and Steve Coogan. In this movie, Steve Carell plays Gru, a former supervillain who is now an agent of the Anti-Villain League. Gru is the biological father of Gru Jr. and the adoptive father of Margot, Edith, and Agnes. He is also Lucy's spouse, assuming the identity of Chet Cunningham Sr. as Gru's wife and the adoptive mother of Margot, Edith, and Agnes, as well as the biological mother of Gru Jr., who goes under the guise of Blanche Cunningham. Kristen Wiig plays Lucy Wilde, an anti-villain league agent. Will Ferrell plays the French-accented, cockroach-themed supervillain Maxime Lamal, who was formerly Gru's adversary in high school and is out to get revenge on him and his family. Joey King plays Gru's new neighbor in Mayflower and aspirant supervillain Poppy Prescott, who has always adored Gru. Robert McCall, Denzel Washington has struggled to reconcile the awful things he's committed in the past since putting up his life as a state-sponsored assassin and finds bizarre consolation in administering justice on behalf of the oppressed. Lorenzo Vitale, Bruno Bellotta, a mafia boss in Sicily, comes in his vineyard with his grandson and discovers a slew of dead victims lying around. He enters alone and discovers 3 of his guys seated with a pistol to Robert McCall's, Denzel Washington head. When Vitaly asks McCall what he's doing there, he replies he's there for something they took that wasn't theirs. McCall gives them 9 seconds to stand down before killing the 3 thugs and leaving Vitaly limping away. He pulls out a firearm and shoots Vitaly in the head. The grandson notices McCall as he walks away with a bag, and McCall urges him to stay in the car. The youngster shoots McCall in the leg and flees. McCall drives far enough till he passes out. He is discovered by an officer, Joe Bonucci, Eugenio Mastrandrea, who brings him to his town's doctor, Enzo Aricio, Remo Girone. Enzo instructs Joe to inform anybody who inquires that McCall has died. After a couple of weeks, McCall awakens to find himself in the small town of Altamont. He befriends Enzo, who gives him an accommodation to stay, and he befriends Joe and his daughter Gabby, Di Lanzero. McCall begins visiting the neighborhood cafe and meets one of the waitresses, Amina, Gaia Scodolaro. McCall admits he's not certain if he's a good or evil man when Enzo asks.
문자고 카톡으로 다 안 된 거야? 핸드폰도 다.
와이파이. 너 굳이 이 근처에 카페에서
그러면은 카톡 한번 확인해봐.
여기 있네. 피자시대. 있을 것 같은데. 오늘 돈
성님 받아.
나도 봐.
이거 왜 적혀 있는 건데? 하나는 불량인 거지.
뻔한 거 아니에요?
박스 잡을 사람 다.
그 친구가 배 찍어 잠수 탔죠?
이상해요. 이 동네에서 pom팡이 튀게 안.
알바생 새로 뽑으실 생각 없으세요?
일단 생각을 좀 해보고.
그리고
쏘는 거냐? 내 얘기했지?
아니야 하지 마세요. 뭘 잘했다고 쳐다봐?
역시 대학생이라 그리고 기생.
아버님 안녕하세요. 그럼. 이것 때문에 이게 왔어가지고. 할아버지께서 육사 시절부터 이 수석수지. 이야 이거 진짜 상징적. 그래도 그 돌멩이 때문에 부모님 얼굴도 뵙고. 학원을 안 가는 게 아니라 못 가는 거 가르친다는 거야? 박다혜. 부잣집과예요. 돈도 많이 줘.
Parasite is a 2019 South Korean dark comedy thriller film directed by Bong Joon-ho, who co-wrote and co-produced the film with Han Jin-won. In this clip, the Kim family lives in a semi-basement flat, popularly known as Banjia in South Korea, and they are currently living in the neighborhood slums of Seoul, and have low-income jobs and struggle for money. At some point, they struggle to log in on WhatsApp when a neighbor upstairs changes their password. The father advised his son to keep his smartphone high enough to scout for existing Wi-Fi when he stumbles across an open public Wi-Fi network, Coffeeland 2G. Feeling lucky, they also discover Pizza Generation's request for pizza boxes, helping him earn some money. However, seems like they end up drinking. In the end, Min Hyuk, a university student, gives the family a scholar's rock meant to promise wealth. Parasite premiered at the 2019 Cannes Film Festival on the 21st of May 2019, where it became the first Korean film to win its top prize, the Palme d'Or. It was released in South Korea by CJ Entertainment on the 30th of May, and was praised for Bong's direction and screenplay, and also for its editing, production design, and the performances of the cast. It grossed $263 million worldwide on a $15.5 million budget. The Flash 2023 Batman Opening Scene 3, a high-stakes shootout chase scene. Batman talks to Barry and directs him to handle the hospital's collapsing building in order to save the babies, as he runs after the thug terrorizing Gotham City. A high-speed chase ensues in the busy streets of Gotham. The thug initiate brutal assault on the Batman, but he quickly deflects the machine gun's fire using his Batmobile. The Batman also returns the fire from machine guns mounted on the bike. This is one of the greatest high-stakes movie shootout scenes of 2023.
wipe out half a dozen my...
Kindly take a second to press the like button as it profoundly helps us grow. Also hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification because you are our hero, and we will forever adore you.
Hotel Castelletto. 5 seconds, I want to be in and out.
Stand by.
Confirm. You have the hard drive.
Go for a heads up, Rainer, they're coming to you.
Copy that.
Go out the back.
Copy that.
5 minutes.
We can get to the canal on street.
So good, you'll be
Where are you?
An ordinary construction worker named Mike is thrown into the world of super spies and secret operatives when his high school girlfriend, Roxanne, enlists him in a dangerous American intelligence operation. The first scene introduces us to Mike McKenna, a New Jersey construction worker whose life takes an unexpected turn when Roxanne Hall, his high school love, re-enters it after a 20-year absence. Using his modest appearance as the ideal disguise, Roxanne, a secret agent for the shadowy group known as the Union, enlists Mike for a dangerous mission. Following a disastrous operation in Trieste that resulted in many agent fatalities, the Union is in a state of chaos. They look to Mike, a nobody, in dire need of a new face, for help on a crucial operation to obtain government intelligence from a briefcase holding private data on people who have served Western allies. Julian Farino is the director of the 2024 American espionage comedy thriller film titled The Union. Halle Berry and Mark Wahlberg are the film's stars. An emotional quest to locate his first love, who vanished 50 years ago, is undertaken by a widower. Christopher is a young Icelandic student attending the London School of Economics in the late 1960s, but he is at odds with the school management because of his left-wing views. Christopher, having been made fun of by his college pals for declaring he would drop out, applies rashly to work as a dishwasher at Chef Takahashi's Japanese restaurant Nippon. It is there that he meets Miko, the chef's daughter, and falls in love. After diligently studying Japanese at Nippon, Christopher gains the respect of Miko and Takahashi. He sees Miko's boyfriend and Takahashi violently stop their relationship. Christopher is allowed to arrive early to practice as he receives culinary training from Takahashi. Unbeknownst to Takahashi, Miko and Christopher become closer and begin a romantic connection as a result of Miko visiting to sample his food. Miko tells Christopher that her mother was carrying her when the explosion occurred, and that her family was originally from Hiroshima. Being Hibakusha and facing persecution at home, they relocated to England. After returning from vacation, Christopher discovers with dismay that the restaurant has closed and that the Takahashis have left without a word, apart from one last check made out to him. This narrative centers on an Icelandic guy who seems to be coming to a decision on how to wrap up some unfinished business in his life, which includes looking for his long-lost love. The younger Christopher was still studying overseas from his Icelandic home and was searching for a career in London during the turbulent 1960s, when the love affair took place. He chose the Japanese restaurant based on the assistance needed sign outside, but as he was leaving, he noticed the daughter of the owner and became really interested in working there. Lol. You can't blame him, really. Miko, played by the stunning Koki, has amazing magnetism, so it's understandable that she gave him another glance as she turned to go. You can probably imagine what happens when someone dates the boss's father's daughter behind his back and then finds out. In light of this, the older Christopher hoped to get in touch with his former sweetheart. Directed by Baltasar Kormákur, written by Baltasar and Ólafur Jóhann Ólafsson, Touch is a romantic drama film from 2024 that stars Pálmi Kormákur, Koki, and Egil Ólafsson. On May 29, 2024, Touch was launched in Iceland. Sean Durkin is the writer and director of the 2023 biographical sports drama film, The Iron Claw, which centers on the Von Erich family, a dynasty of professional wrestlers who are cursed with unending tragedy. An authentic account of the legendary Von Erich brothers, who created waves in the fiercely competitive world of professional wrestling during the early 1980s. Under the watchful eyes of their overbearing father and coach, the brothers experience both sorrow and victory as they strive for unattainable immortality on the largest stage in sports. More tragedy results from the film's portrayal of wrestling organization owner Fritz von Erich's kids' efforts from 1979 to the early 1990s to reach the success their father trained them for. The movie, named after the Von Erich family's trademark in ring maneuver, The Iron Claw, stars Zac Efron as Kevin Von Erich and features Jeremy Allen White, Harris Dickinson, Maura Tierney, Stanley Simons, Holt McCallany, and Lily James in supporting roles. The world-class championship wrestling business, WCCW, was founded in 1979 by Fritz von Erich, a former professional wrestler who had aspirations of becoming the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. From oldest to youngest, Fritz and his wife Doris had 5 sons: Jack Jr., who passed away when he was a small boy, Kevin and David, who wrestle in the WCCW, Kerry, who wants to be a discus thrower, and Mike, who wants to be a singer. Looking at a number of critical responses, the New Yorker's Richard Brody pointed out, quote, "The Iron Claw is as exuberant as it is mournful, and the high spirits of performance and achievement are inseparable from the price that they exact," end of quote. David Sims wasn't left behind, and here are his thoughts on the film, quote unquote, "To wrestling nerds, the Von Erichs have a titanic legacy, and Durkin does his best to represent that by exploring the sport's crunchy, amateurish pre-corporate age, when regional live events were the big moneymakers and television was largely ignored." David Fear of Rolling Stone criticized Efron's performance. He noted, quote, "The lost, needy look in his eyes, especially when he's around his father, makes him seem like a frightened lad playing adult dress-up. Efron gets at what drove Kevin: discipline, love, and fear." He anchors the movie. David Fear also added, "There are times when the movie comes close to being an outright feel-bad sports movie," end of quote. Last but not least, Sean O'Neill for Texas Monthly said, quote unquote, "The film sparks most in those early scenes set against the nostalgic neon glow of the 80s Dallas skyline, when the Von Erichs, and the city that surrounded them, seemed invincible and electric. Selfishly, I found myself wishing it could have lingered there a bit longer, before that golden myth gave way to grey and murky reality." Adam Naiman concluded, "It may be that by finally talking a story about unimaginable loss into that of a mind who finds himself, the Iron Claw errs on the side of uplift. But as acted by Efron, the catharsis feels earned, the euphoric feeling of having broken out of a deathlock, even if only momentarily." Kerry is Fritz's favorite son, and he doesn't hesitate to bring him into the family company. But the rankings can change, Fritz says jokingly over breakfast. Anyone can work their way up or down. The youngest, Michael, Stanley Simons, is a gangly wannabe musician who isn't too interested in a future in wrestling. However, poor Michael is left with little option as the curse begins to bite his elder brothers. It's important to note that, because of the staggering number of disasters that befell the family, another brother, Chris, was left out of the narrative. Present Texas heavyweight champion Kevin begins dating Pam and tells her about the Von Erich curse that killed Jack Jr. when he was a toddler. The curse is said to have been caused by Fritz switching his last name from Adkisson to his mother's, whose family had experienced continuous misfortune.
You know, would you like to have a drink with me sometime?
Sorry, no, wasn't that yet.
And then no one else will have the chance to ask you yet.
For a long time, Durkin wanted to make a movie on the Von Erich family. In his younger years, he enjoyed watching professional wrestling, and the recent losses in the Von Erich family affected him deeply. He started researching the movie's original screenplay in 2015. Since Chris Von Erich is the youngest of the family, Durkin felt that it was one more tragedy that the film couldn't really withstand, and so did not include him in the screenplay. A year and a half before Kerry Von Erich passed away, in 1991, Chris took his own life. He was the 4th member of the family to pass away, following Jack Jr., David, and Mike. The movie, which starred Zac Efron and was produced and released by A24, was revealed in June 2022. Afterwards, House Productions worked on it as well, with assistance from BBC Film and Access Entertainment.
I don't know, it was strange. So I'm now the oldest.
Along with Efron, White and Dickinson were revealed as joining the project in September to play the Von Erich brothers. A month later, Juliette Howell, Angus Lamont, Maura Tierney, Tessa Ross, Darren Schlesinger, and Harrison Huffman were announced as producers in addition to McCallany and James being cast. Friedman was cast in November and subsequently given credit as executive producer. On November 8, 2023, The Iron Claw had its debut at the Texas Theater in Dallas. On December 22, 2023, A24 released it in the US, and on February 9, 2024, Lionsgate released it in the UK. It brought in almost $41 million in revenue and garnered favorable ratings from reviewers. The National Board of Review ranked it among the best 10 movies of 2023.
Excitement here at the hero, Kevin Von Erich, face of him, the Von Erich family. The 35. All eyes are on this, but it is a tremendous opportunity. They lock up. Warning. Big blow to the midsection. Now,
Kevin advances to contend for the championship after defeating NWA World Heavyweight Champion Harley Race by disqualification in a non-title bout. Fritz is thrilled to see David showcasing his innate gift for theatrics during a promo, but he is upset with Kevin for taking so long to stand up after landing a vertical suplex straight on concrete. The 1980 Summer Olympics boycott dashes Kerry's hopes of competition, and he moves back home where Fritz presses him to also become a wrestler. The early 1980s, when the Von Erich brothers were big names in the Texas wrestling scene, is beautifully captured in the movie, complete with a shimmering, tawny glow that makes it seem as though the entire narrative takes place within a massive spray tanning booth. And for the time being at least, Fritz's unwavering goal that his boys would all be champions, which sprung from a long festering perceived insult during his own career, appears to be doable. Kevin, who serves as both the movie's sporadic narrator and his younger brother's self-appointed guardian, looks like the frontrunner to win. However, in post-bout interviews, his brother David, Harris Dickinson outshines him with electrifying crowds. Up until the Americans withdraw from the 1980 Moscow Olympics, Kerry, Jeremy Allen White of the Bear, uncontrollably hyped up and giving new meaning to the original beef of Chicagoland, is expected to be the family's first Olympian. He is now practicing to throw the discus for Team USA.
great on the mic, son.
You got one to get your hopes up. Hey, smile, man. You just beat the world heavyweight.